Hi, I'm back. I didn't think I'd ever get back. It's been a while since I've done a YouTube video for you, and we're still making the quilts, but yet here I am, and I am not helping you to move along to get your own quilt made. So today I think we're going to tackle a few more things. I've been off for a while, and I'll tell you more about that as we sew along. But I thought we should get going and finish up the last few blocks that I've put into this quilt so you can see how you might want to finish yours, because I know many of you are not like me and lingering projects bother you. So I did take a little time. I cleaned my sewing room up a little bit. I finished a couple projects that I had deadlines attached to them, and I've been just trying to get a little bit more done than I typically get done in the sewing room area just lately. But December was a rough month on our family. My grandson Gannon went in to get his tonsils and adenoids out, and he ended up coming home with an NG tube, which is a feeding tube that goes in your nose and down into your stomach. And he was in the hospital for like 6 days for just a simple adenoid and tonsil removal. So it was a challenging time. And then I got sick, and then this person was sick, and that person was sick, and that person was sick, and that person was sick. So we just had a rough December, and I sat down twice to start a video, and then someone came in the house and interrupted me. And yesterday I was going to make a video, but it was really dark and gloomy out, and I just didn't think that the lighting would show up very well. And I talked to my daughter Calissa today, and she said, Mom, she goes, it's time for you to shoot a video. Why don't you just put all the lights on you can, and I'll try to adjust the lighting as I edit the video, and hopefully everybody can see what they need to see. So in my time of cleaning up my sewing room here, I ended up sorting out the stuff that I have ready for the quilt, and I kind of took stock of what I had. And one thing I noticed is I didn't have very much yellow, and I do kind of want to make the quilt with the same color scheme as this one has, and you can see there's quite a bit of yellow in the quilt, and so I needed to add some more yellow. So I dug through, I found a few more yellow prints and brought them over, and I'll try to incorporate some of those in some of the stuff I'm doing today. And yeah, so I invite you to look at what you've made so far, see if there's a color that you're missing. In my color scheme, I'm focusing on red, blue, and yellow, and then neutral, anything that has a white background. So, and it can have a white background with a red print or white background with a blue print, but I kind of try to lean a little bit towards those. So today I'm going to just show you, here's some odd things I did. Remember that it looks really good if you have some with a red background. You can see here up here, there's a star with a red background. Here's another star with a red background. There's quite a few stars with a red background, so don't forget to do that option as well. This is just a funny mismatch kind of one that I did. You can do some simple 9 patches. I'm hoping to show you those today. I have a few hearts, because if you want to put a heart in your quilt, I'm going to show you how to do that. Here's an odd block that I did. Over the course of time here, I have made a few more blocks. When I was digging around to find more yellow, I actually found some half square triangles that were left over from a different quilt project. And so I just sewed this little guy together. That's just a quick and easy one that would look fine in the quilt. I made a few more of these type of blocks. I'm not even sure what that is. That would probably be a variation on a shoe fly block, which I showed you how to make earlier. This is also a shoe fly block. It's just a different variation. It's the same concept, only in this one I made the inside connector pieces really narrow, and in this one I made them the same size. Here's another one I did. Another one I did. And then I did a couple of these because I want to encourage you to start adding a few odds and ends pieces around the star blocks that you have and some of the other blocks you have. So here you can see I sewed some yellow and blue together, and then I just sewed borders onto this red background star block. And here's another one I did. I put yellow in the corners because remember I wanted to incorporate a little bit more yellow into my blocks. So I'm going to invite you to start doing that because that adds more space in between, because we have to connect all of these pieces up. And I'm hoping to remember to show you how to do a spool block, which is over here. I'll talk a little bit about it more the next time I do a video with you, but if you want, you can even start doing some of this. Find some pieces that are similar in size and start sewing them together, but we'll talk more about the assembly of the middle in the next video I do after this one. We better just focus on this video for now. So what I wanted to make sure that I showed you were, and I toss those over there, the heart block, the 9 patch, some sort of maybe a block like this or log cabin, and then the spool block. So let's see what we can get to, what kind of trouble we can make. Anytime that you want to sew now as a leader and ender, you can take one of these blocks and you can just put a piece on the side, and that can be your leader and ender piece, because all of the blocks that you made, most of them are going to need to grow in size. I don't even know what I have going on with this right here. Sometimes I just take a few pieces like this and sew them together because they're going to be good connectors for something else, but I happen to have another one of these right here, and I'm going to just add that to there as my little leader and ender, which I don't even know why I'm doing that, because we should be making a spool block. So I'm going to find some supplies and we can make our first spool block. I'm going to need some background print. I'm going to start out and I'm going to need 4 squares that are about the same size. Okay, and then I need a red that's about the same size. I'm just going to go like this. I'm going to chop it, I guess. Okay, I'm going to lay these out. Those 4. And I'm going to just chop these into triangles. Okay, I'll show you what we're going to do. We're going to, so in a spool block, one part is half square triangles and the other part is like a snowball block with only one piece is snowballed. So I'm going to lay this out like this. I should have made one of these in advance, but if I would have done that, we would have never gotten a video made. So what we're going to do is, you can see that there's a big triangle, and 2 little triangles, and there's 4 background pieces. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip these triangles over, and well, we're just going to sew from here to here, here to here, here to here, and here to here. And we're going to, whoops, this should be this way. Blah. So we're going to sew from there to there. And we're going to sew from this corner up here. And then these will just get sewn like that. So let's just do that and then I'll show you where we're at. Okay, run these through the machine. I'm doing the big ones first. I was going to film this earlier in the day, but I woke up and my back decided that I needed to go to the chiropractor. I've been having a little bit of back trouble lately, which is not my favorite at all. I just hate back trouble. I think back trouble, teeth trouble, are about some of the hardest pain things to have to deal with. So I'm just gonna iron this. And you can see that, oh, I have strings all over here. What is going on? Okay, there's still a lot of strings, but at least I got a few of them. Okay, so you can see as one of my leader and enders, I just added this piece onto there. That's a totally fine, good thing to do. I'm gonna set that aside for now. I think that'll just go over here. We'll get to that on a different day. I need to make a little piece to feed through. This looks like it'll be good because I need that piece out. Okay, so I'm clipping these corners off. I hope you can see what I'm doing. The background corners are getting clipped off. If you can hear my Roomba downstairs, it just said, please charge Roomba. So hopefully that means my floors downstairs all got vacuumed while I was up here doing this. Isn't technology wonderful that way, that we can get our floor vacuumed while we're up doing things that we love to do? One of my best feelings of the day is if I go downstairs and I start my Roomba, my robot vacuum cleaner, and I start the dishwasher and I start the washing machine, and I just think to myself, oh, this is going to be a good day because look at, I'm getting all these things done and I'm not even having to do them. So, okay, this looks pretty wonky, but this is the start of our spool block. I put the two bigger triangle pieced ones here and the two smaller triangle pieced ones here, and then I'm going to flip these together and sew them together and flip these together and sew these together. So they're kind of wonky, and don't worry about it. It'll all clean up. So in light of me telling you that I was having some back trouble, I've been to the chiropractor. Well, I'm filming this on a Monday, and oh, there's something with my machine going on here. Oh, it made a little nest. I wonder what's going on with that. Oh, and my tension's not right either. Oh no, it wasn't doing that previously. I wonder what's going on. I wonder if I should just try it again. That's what I'm gonna do. We'll try it again and see. Oh, and now it's working fine. So it must have been just, I'm gonna run these through though because the tension wasn't right. I'm wondering if a string got in there. Okay, let's see what's going on. Oh, it's back to trouble. Okay, well, I think we'll edit this part of the video out and I'll figure out what on earth is happening with my machine. Okay. Oh, I think I can see it right now. Okay, I think I'm back. We're gonna try this again. What a mess. What a mess. I should have tried this off screen before let me see if it's gonna sew right now. Okay, yep, that's good. Well, now my trouble is, no, they'll be fine. I'm gonna just sew over these again. And I'm gonna trim this one up a little bit, the excess threads. What was wrong is that my machine, though, it had come unthreaded in this area. So the tension wasn't right. But it looks like it's working good now. I normally don't have too many troubles with this machine. It's really a good one. But I think probably as I was cleaning in the sewing room, because I did a big cleanup over Christmas time, and as I was cleaning in here, I think I probably bumped the thread and moved the cone, and that's probably what happened. Okay, I'm going to just put these together. I know some of you would iron now, but these, remember, these are just, it's totally okay for them to be wonky. So let's run this through. Let me see how that turned out. Oh, yep, that's not bad. I'm going to take a little trim right along the side here and iron it, and then I'll show you what we have. Oops. Okay, there's our block. It's just a little spool block. It's just a fun one to add a little bit something different. I have two tiny spool blocks right here in the quilt, and even littler than this one. And so that one's ready to go, and we'll go in the quilt. Let's just make another one of those while we're here, because that was kind of a messy presentation for you between my quilt, or between my sewing machine not working correctly, and it was just kind of messy. So let's just redo that, because I need more in the quilt anyway, right? So we have our 4 squares, and we need 2 big triangles and 2 small triangles. So let's see what we have for fabric here. I have a red here that I don't think I've even used yet before. So that must have been from a shirt cuff. So throw that away. We'll get 2 bigger red triangles. Well, so that one can go on here. This one's I'm gonna cut it down to be a smaller one because it's kind of wonky. That's gonna be a small one. Then we need a bigger one. And we need a smaller one. Okay, whoops. I put those in the wrong spot, and then I'll show this to you in just a second. If you lay them out like this, where you lay them on your pieces like this, and then you're going to sew from corner to corner, corner to corner, and do like that. This is how I work on that hourglass block quilt. So anyway, I was telling you about my back and going to the chiropractor, and what I think I've figured out is that I think my couch doesn't love me. So most nights I sit and cross stitch for probably 2 hours before I go to bed. My goal is to get to the couch by 8:30 and to leave the couch by 10:30. And give or take 15 or 20 minutes, that's usually what happens most nights. I watch FlossTube, and I usually pick out a couple other shows that I've been watching, and then I watch TV while I cross stitch. And I love doing that, and I want to continue to do that. But I think even though my couch is only it's only 3.5 years old, I don't think that it fits me the best. There's very little lumbar support in my couch, and I'm just not happy with it. So after I went to the chiropractor today, I happened to go over to the furniture store just to see. And there's something, I have a recliner on the ends of my couch, is what we bought when we bought it. I'm clipping these to square them up a little bit. And the couch, I think I sit in the same spot all the time, and then it has a recliner on the end, and then the middle doesn't have any kind of recliner in it. So I think what's happened is my chair side is just kind of sagged a little bit in the corner towards the middle, and I just think that's not being good for my back. And I'm wondering if that's what my problem is with my back. So I went furniture shopping, and I don't know. I hate to spend the money on furniture. So here's our blocks that we have. This is the bigger triangle and the bigger triangle. So the triangles should go on opposite. So small triangles, bigger triangles. I hate to spend the money on furniture, but I hate to spend the money on a chiropractor, and I hate my back hurting. And I got home and I had this brilliant idea that I would move my love seat where my couch is and put the couch where the love seat was. So, you know, isn't that a wonderful thing to be doing just after you get back from the chiropractor? Not really. But I moved that around, and tonight I am going to test it out and see, being the love seat is constructed a little bit differently, I'm hoping that the love seat will help me be able to avoid buying some furniture. So I have these two sections like this, and now I'm going to flip them together, right sides together, and then sew them together, and then I'll have another spool block. So sometimes when I'm making a quilt like this, I'll take a block like the spool block, and then I'll just add borders around it. I have several blocks that you can see, like this has like, here's a little broken dish, and it's red with a white background, and then I have a blue border around it, and then I have a yellow border around it. So I'm going to probably take these two blocks, spool blocks that I made, and while we go on and learn how to do a couple other blocks, I'll probably just add borders onto these as I go, and then I'll give you an idea of what they look like as we go. So I'm going to see what I have for some yellow, and I'm just cutting some strips. It doesn't matter what width they are. It doesn't matter at all, because you can have some that are wider, some that are narrower, and you can do some goofy things like I'm going to do right now with this one. So I have 3 longer pieces, and I have 1 short piece. You can see there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a different print to this one, and then I'll keep those other ones. So I'll just do that as we go rather than I'll just do it right now rather than do it as I go, just so you can see how I do that. So I'm going to add that to that, and then this will be one of the other pieces to go around the outside of the block, because I like to use up every little scrap that I can. So we'll start with one of these, and I'll just add this onto here. Then we're going to have a little bit left over, and we'll use that somewhere else in the quilt. And just curiously, I'm going to add that to this piece, and we'll probably use it as we make this. Okay, so I have one side of the border added right here, and so I'm going to just grab this and add another side. Oops, I almost cut my finger. So I'm hoping by moving the love seat, which is kind of constructed differently than the couches, that I will try sitting in the love seat to stitch, and hopefully that will work out a little better than sitting on the couch did. I don't know. And if it doesn't, I'm starting to wonder if buying new furniture is in my near future, because I don't want to have a backache every time I sit down to cross stitch, and I don't want to not cross stitch anymore because I love to cross stitch. And even if it means buying new furniture, I think I will. Okay, I'm gonna just iron this over. This is the wonky strip that I sewed together, so you can see that it just has a different print in there. And okay. I happen to be filming this. It's Martin Luther King Day. It's January 16th. And we've had rain here. and it's been so strange. We have had March to April type weather, and it's January. In fact, my son Buck and my daughter Kayla live about 2 hours south and southeast of me, and they were both in a tornado warning today in Iowa. That just really doesn't happen. So here we go. We've got this one bordered, and I'm just gonna probably add another border to it because all of these things need to grow a little bit. Oh, here I've got this odd strip here. I must have been sewing something else, and I have this strip that has a bunch of pieces that are sewn together. I think this was probably for an inner border for a different quilt I was making. So I'm just going to be adding this to the black. And we'll do that, and then we'll go on and do another block that's not too hard to make. We'll make a 9 patch. I'm going to do something else kind of goofy here because I can. And this is kind of how I do that. I just saw some squares laying here, and I decided I'm going to somehow incorporate them into this quilt. There are some half square triangles that were left over from a different project, and I've got some that I think are the same color. Yep, I happen to. And so I'm going to move this down, and you can see I have these here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut 4 more red pieces that will fit in here, and then I will attach this all together so our block will look kind of like that. So here I go. I'm going to just sew this one on. This is kind of how I sew when I make these type of quilts. If I just see a piece there and it sparks some interest, or I think that it might work, I just pick it up and I use it. And it's kind of a very different way of quilting, but that's kind of how I do it. It's just, that's why when people have asked me if I would show them how I make the quilt, it's kind of hard because nobody's quilt can be like mine because, you know, exactly like mine, because you don't have the same little leftover pieces sitting here. If you wanted to, you could just sew some half square triangles and incorporate those into what you're sewing. Or maybe this isn't something that sparks your interest, so this isn't something that you would want, you know, maybe you don't want to add some kind of thing like that to your blocks to make them bigger. But that's kind of the goal that we're at right now, is all of the blocks have to grow a little bit in order to get worked into the center of the quilt. Okay, I'm just grabbing these as I go, and then we'll add that to the blocks. I probably have to another session of sewing to get a few more pieces for the center is what I'm thinking right now. And then I will be ready to assemble the center, which I hope to do pretty soon. I know so many of you are anxiously waiting for me to get that far. I had a deadline project for a project that is going to be on a charity action. I have another deadline for a project that is going to be part of a blog hop later in the month. So all these other projects kind of get set aside. And unfortunately, I'm not very good at just sitting down and doing something that I got to think about sometimes. And sometimes this I have to think about a little bit. I just sometimes do better to just piece. I went and cut this piece too long, so I'm going to trim this down and re-sew it. So I'm just going to lob this off right here because it was too long, and now I probably made it too short, but that's okay. It was just kind of the wrong way too long. I'm going to check this one and see how this one is. And This one's kind of too long too. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to take off one side, quick rip it off and trim, and then just a real quick unsewing. Yep, that should be enough. Okay. Now I should be ready. Well, okay, then I'll show you what this is going to look like, because I'll add those to the side and you can see what I'm doing now. So these will have a triangle in each corner, and I'll add that to each side. So that's what's going through the machine next. But they're kind of wonky and weird, and no, I'm not worried about matching up the seams, but it was too much before I trimmed them down. I'm afraid, being that I told you we had unseasonably warm weather, and we had rain most of the day today, and there's a little bit of snow and ice underneath it, so the rain on top of that is never good because it makes everything super slippery. And I am hoping that when it freezes tonight, that it doesn't turn into more ice. I was talking to the lady in town while I was looking at furniture. She's a acquaintance of mine, the sales lady at the store is. And as we were talking, we both said that we're kind of sick of the gloomy weather. Oh, and I ran out of thread. I suppose you guys saw that before I did. And we just, both of us agreed that it's probably going to seem like we have spring forever this year, the way it's going, because right now it feels like end of March or April, even early April. And that's no good for somebody who likes to garden like I do, because then I'm going to get the gardening itch, and we don't want to get that too soon. Otherwise, I plant my plants out too early. I did that one year and all of my tomatoes got froze off. That was no fun. So then I had to replant about half of them. The other ones were able to come back, but they weren't all the way froze, but they kind of had a little frost damage on the tips. But half of them were gone, so that was no fun. There we go. Now I'll get this one ironed and I'll show you what we have. Okay. So here's our wonky block. And that will be a good one to add into the quilt. You know, it's got some interest added in the corners. And we've added some red and some yellow, which are two colors we always both need in them. So I'm going to toss that one aside over here, and we're going to move on, and I'm going to show you how I do a 9 patch. I don't want to grab green. Okay, what do we have here? My scraps are all mixed up. Okay. We could do this. Let's make a little one. You can make your however you want. I'm making mine with 4 light backgrounds, and I'm going to use cut 5 of these. I think that's about the same size. I have absolutely loved and adored that my daughter Calissa has been doing my editing of the videos, but I had a talk with her the other day, and I said, I think it's something I need to learn how to do so I can edit them myself. She's a busy mom and has lots going on, and I hate to depend on her to do that for me. So here's all I do. So I have the 4 background squares and I have the 5 red squares laid out like this, and I'm going to just sew them together like you would a typical 9 patch. And I cut my squares kind of bigger than I wanted to because I do like things to be a little bit more in miniature. So I'm just making a deeper seam. I'm using a bigger seam than a 1/4 inch on these, which is totally okay. Okay, here we go. I'm really excited to be back at this quilt. I would really like to get it finished pretty soon. My grandson Anders, who this quilt is for, is already rolling over. So it's like, come on, Grandma. He obviously isn't waiting for me to get his baby quilt made. He's just going on and doing his own thing, which is totally fine, but it makes me feel a little bit bad. So I have the strips all sewn together, so then I'm just going to sew these just like I would a typical 9 patch and sew the strips together. And you notice I didn't iron anything. If you want to stop and iron things as you go, you certainly can. I'm just not much of an ironer, especially on a quilt like this. And I'm going to show you that my seams don't match, and it's totally fine that they don't. So we have a quick and easy 9 patch block, just like this, and I'll get this ironed and then I'll show it to you again. And this quilt is such that you can do whatever you want. You don't have to, like, let's say you don't like spool blocks, don't make a spool block. Let's say that you don't like 9 patches and don't make 9 patches. Or if you love 9 patches, make a ton of 9 patches. You can do whatever you want when you're making the quilt. So here's our simple 9 patch. And I probably won't make a lot of 9 patches for it, but I'll make a few, and then that's perfectly fine to have some in there. They're great fillers, and that's one thing that I want to for sure point out is that they do make very, very good fillers. Okay, next up, I think we're going to make a heart block. Whoops, I just dropped something. I'll grab that. Oh, okay. So how I make heart blocks, I have a couple different ones here, is I start off with 2 red rectangles. So these are the 2 red rectangles, and then I put a small triangle on this corner, and the corner down here. And so, and then on these corners. One thing I have to caution you about is you need to make sure you do mirror images so that when you bring the 2 pieces together, it does create a heart, because you can't make them, the triangles down here have to make sure they're going in the right direction. So let's lay that out and make a heart block. If you're making a quilt for like a little girl, maybe you just want to not do stars and you just want to put a ton of hearts in it. Well, you could do that for a little boy too. So I have some red fabric here, and I'm going to cut out 2 rectangles. I'm going to find a corner here that's better. Okay. And this is how I do it. I don't do anything fancy. I'm going to iron it because it's got quite a lump in it. I'm actually, whoops, I got to cut that off because there's a selvage right there, and you can see those little dots that are in the selvage, and I don't want those on my piece. I am actually going to make a bigger heart so it's easier for you to see. Okay, then any kind of triangles you have can work on this. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take and we're going to snowball the top corners here. So to do that, I'm going to lay this piece right on here, and then I'm going to sew from there to there. I'm going to do that here, and then I'll do that again over here after I iron, and then I'll do that again with another triangle I have. Let me see if I can grab one right here on this side over here. So we're going to just snowball those top of the rectangle. And I am using mismatched backgrounds. If you want to do that, you're certainly welcome to. If you want them to all be the same, you're welcome to do that as well. You have to do whatever, I don't know, I think it's Lori Holt that says that you have to be the boss of your own quilt, or that you are the boss of your own quilt, and that's definitely true with this style of quilting. You have to do what you like. Okay, I'm going to do the other upper corners now. I've got the one side done. Now I'm going to do the other upper corners. And I want to try to make sure that there's a flat area at the top so that the two corners don't meet exactly. And if I don't get it, we'll cut it. We'll probably just cut it. Okay, I'm going to trim that little section off that I just am trying to cover up. Okay, get both of these ironed, and then I'll go back to chatting with you until I explain to you what I'm doing now. Okay. I want my heart to have a flat spot on the top. And if you look at how I put these corners on, I don't have a flat spot on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut down a little further than I normally would so that I get a little flat spot on the top. So it's like this. See, now I have that little flat spot on the top. That's what we need. And I'm going to cut down a little bit on this one too. Okay, now this is going to be kind of a chubby heart, I think. And he's going to be a little bit wonky. So now what I need to do is I need to cover up this section and cover up this section. So I need a bigger triangle, two bigger triangles. So I have a piece here. I think this will work. I'm going to cut two triangles. I'm going to lay them on there like this. I'll show it to you in just a second so you can see better. Okay, and then I'm going to sew from this corner to this corner, and this corner to this corner, and then these will flip out like this and cover up that section so that we have a heart. But it's important that you kind of lay that out to make sure you get those triangles in the right direction. Or at least that's how I do it. Okay. I've got a little mess here because I keep trimming and not throwing it away. That is very typical of me. I do that kind of stuff all the time. I trim and don't throw. So I'm going to cut those triangles off, but I'm going to save those. I might use those for something else if I'm going to snowball a different block. Then I'm going to iron these. Whoops. I went and ironed my snowball corner over. Okay. So now I have the two pieces and they look like this. So we're going to flip those together and then we'll sew those together and then we'll have our heart. Okay. Whoops. Yep, I did. Where is it? No, I lost my bobbin thread. That's what I did. See if it comes back. Nope. Okay, grab my bobbin thread back. See if I get my bobbin in the right way. Nope, I think I gotta go this way. Nope, I should have went the other way. Oh, when I thread this machine, or when I do the bobbin on this machine, it's a vintage machine, so it always seems like I'm putting my bobbin thread in wrong. I never have that trouble with my modern machine, but this vintage one, I always have to double check to make sure I have the thread going the right direction. Okay, so I'm gonna run this back through. Everything's going again, that's good. Okay, so here is our wonky heart. You can see the bottom is a little bit goofy. I'm going to go through and I'm going to take and just trim the whole thing up a little bit. Get her looking a little better. A little squarer. I don't know if I'm doing very good because it almost looks like I'm making it worse, but we'll see. Okay, so here's our heart. So what I do right now is I go through and I put borders all around it, because right here that almost needs something to make it so that you can tell it's a heart. You can see I have borders added onto this one. So we're going to do that. We're just going to add borders. Let's see what I have here. I'm not being too picky. Just grabbing what I have that's close. Normally, if I'm making this and you're not watching me, I would probably make like 4 hearts at a time. But being you're here with me, I'm showing you how to do 1 at a time so that you can go to the video and you can say, okay, this is how she makes the heart, and you don't have to watch a very long segment of a video. Because if I was making 3 or 4 at a time, then you'd have to watch a longer segment of video. Okay, I forgot to chop that one off, but there, I did it now, and now I got a wild thread on here I'm going to trim off so that doesn't keep going through the machine. Okay, just going to trim that off, a little iron, and see where we're at. Okay, I am going to trim that a little bit. Okay. Gonna add this piece to the bottom. We keep going here. Oh, another thing I want to tell you about that. I want to apologize because a blog reader, or well, not a blog reader, a YouTube watcher. I always think blog reader because I'm used to saying blog reader, but I'm on YouTube now. So a YouTube watcher left us a comment and told us that they were seeing like so many ads in the videos. And when we're very new to videos and how it all works in YouTube. So when I was, when we were watching, we thought, oh, yeah, there are too many ads. What happened is we pushed a button that told YouTube that they could put in ads where they wanted. Well, they ended up putting ads in just everywhere. Every time I would turn and be quiet and like iron something, they would throw an ad in. And it was just very frustrating for us. And we had no idea that that's what you were going through. So I very much apologize. We have taken that ad option down, and we will not be having 5 or 6 ads in the middle of a video. There might be one in the middle of a video, well, one at the beginning, one at the end, and one in the middle. So here's something that I want to show you that happened. Look at when we did this. this ended up losing its point because I had just put a small triangle there. And when I did that, it wasn't very deep. So then by the time I took a 1/4 inch off the top and a 1/4 inch off the side, we lost our corner. So you could leave it like this because it does look kind of wonky and fun, or you can find a way to fix that. And I'm going to show you a way that I would fix that because I want you to just see that you shouldn't just throw something away if you make a mistake when you're doing a quilt like this. So you can see I cut a giant triangle, and we are going to take this giant triangle and we are just going to sew it from point to point over that corner. And I'll show you what happens when we do that. I actually kind of like it when mistakes like that happen so that you can not panic when you're doing your own, and you can see what I do to fix some of those things, because those things happen to me too. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the scissors and we're going to cut that background off. We can toss that away. And then we can just iron that over. We're going to trim a little bit here. Just square it up a little bit. Before I put this in the quilt, I'll probably square it up all the way. But look, see, we got our rounded edge back again. So you can see right over here that that triangle went in the corner and it just rounded it all off. And if you want to make one like that to begin with, you sure can. You can just snowball the inside corners and do it that way. But so that's our hurt block for today. And so I'm going to pop that there. I think left on my list that I wanted to make sure that I showed you how to do was how to make a log cabin block. A log cabin block looks especially good in the corner. I think you can see this one right. Can you see that one right there? Is it just out of camera shot? So a log cabin in the corner looks really good. So I'm going to make one of those log cabins for you and show you how I do that. For this, I might run 2 through the machine at a time if you don't mind, because one will just be the leader and ender for the other. And so I'm going to start out with, I've got 2 triangles here that are already made that have red in them. And I'm going to start out by taking and putting another color. I'm not going to use, I probably am just going to use blue and background prints for this. I'm going to cut a few strips here so that we can have those as we go, because we'll need a few blue strips. I've got some longer, some shorter. That's awesome. Here's a shorter strip, another shorter strip. Okay, here's another blue strip that's longer. We're going to probably have to cut some more before we're done with this, but I think maybe we have enough of that color to start. Now we just need some, what do you want to call, background prints to work with. I think there's another one there. And these strips can be any width. It doesn't matter what width they are at all. You can have some wide, some narrow. That's perfectly fine. You can have some ultra narrow. That's perfectly fine. Just you can do whatever looks good to you. So we're going to start out and we're going to put, what did I start up there? I put blue first. Okay. So I'm going to take the red side and we're going to add blue to each of the red sides. Okay, I'm going to trim that off right away. And grab another one. Okay, then we have to iron in between every time when we do these. So we have red, the red half square triangle with blue on the bottom, and then we're going to add some blue to the side. I'm just trimming it. I wonder if I better only do one at a time, because otherwise we're going to be here forever while I try to look for more blue fabric. Because it's going to take a little bit to do these. Okay. I'm going to add this one. And then I'll go back to just doing one at a time. Okay, so here we are. We have blue is surrounding the red side. So now we're going to put white on these sides. I am not picky in a traditional log cabin block. It's important that you do them in a certain order. For this, it's not important necessarily that they go in the same order. Okay, so now we have blue on one side and we're adding the white. Trying to find one that'll fit, that will make the best use of the length of the piece that I have. As I said, I really like using a log cabin block in the corner when we do the borders. So coming up next, we'll probably put the center together, and then we'll talk about trimming up the blocks for the ABC blocks for the outside. So here I have the start of this. Now I'm adding white. So I added white to both sides. So now I'm going to go back to adding blue. I don't want to use the same print that I used before. I would like to use a different print rather than having the same print side by side. Okay. So we're this far now. We'll add another blue to this side over here. I have enough of it, so I use the same blue that I used in the previous piece that I sewed on. So you can see that we keep adding on. Now we have blue on there. Now we're going to be adding some white onto the side. I hope you have enjoyed me working on this series, even though I've been super slow. I'm going to plan just a regular sew with Joe coming up, that I'm just going to be sewing whatever I'm working on. Right now I happen to have a blog reader sent me a leftover Bonnie Hunter project. She was not interested in finishing the Frolic mystery she did a couple of years ago. And so she asked me if I wanted it. So I do. And I am going to finish that and donate that for a charity benefit. And rather than stashing it away into my cabinets, which already have plenty of UFOs in them, I'm going to finish that quilt and tackle that one of the next things that I do. I also am working on a star block project. Let me think what else I have going on. That's the main things that I think I have going on. I'd really like to get this project done because she told me that, or she also sent me a UFO of Bonnie Hunter's quilt Emerald City, and that uses string pieces, and this is the machine that I always sew my string pieces on. So I'm sure in a month or so, or a couple weeks, we'll be back at this machine if we can get this baby quilt done, and we'll be working on that. So here's where I'm at with that so far. I'm going to keep adding another blue piece to this side over here. For this project, normally as you add the sides to a log cabin block, you want the block to end up square. And you can see already that we're not going to end up square because the width of my pieces are different, and that's totally okay that we're not square. And we can just take a scissors and lob something off if we want to. But here's how far we are currently with the log cabin. And I would love just to make a wonky log cabin quilt. I think that would be so fun to make. But right now I've got to concentrate on this because this is the project I'm doing. See, this is what happens when I start doing a project. I think, oh, wouldn't it be nice to make wonky log cabins, and then next thing I know, I'm making a wonky log cabin quilt, which, hey, that might not be a bad idea. I really would love to make one. So, and I'd love to make one with shirts. That would be awesome. Okay, I need another white side. I wonder if this one's long enough. It is, yahoo! I'm gonna run that through. Okay, so here's where we're at right now. I think I'm gonna add one more around each side because my letters are pretty tall, and this will probably go with some of my letters. So I'm gonna add, see what else I have that could work on here. Yep, that one will fit. And this one I believe I will be adding to the outer border. Okay, what else do we have here that's pretty long? Okay, this one's pretty long. I'll add this one. I have my grandson Anders tomorrow. He's going to be here for childcare. And so I probably won't get much sewing done. Here's how far we are right now. I'm going to add, see if I can find something else for, oh, I've got a lot of that, but I'll just put that piece on. I keep picking pieces that aren't long enough. So hopefully I'll find one in here that is. Oh, no. This one might. But yeah, I got to trim it a little bit. I ended up putting dog beds in my sewing room because the dogs would come up and they would be kind of, antsy. But then once I put dog beds up here, they're much better. My dog Rosie's sleeping down here, and I think, is Izzy over there too? Nope, Izzy's not. Izzy must be downstairs, but usually she's up here too. But they've liked it much better in my sewing room after I put dog beds up here. Okay, I've got one more side to go, and then we'll probably be about the size we need to be. Oh, here's a long one. Good. A little treasure. No, Izzy's over there too, I guess. Okay, so I think this is my last seam for the night, or the last seam for our session anyway. And I'll iron this over and I'll show you our log cabin block. So this is what I ended up sewing. Wouldn't it be fun to make a whole quilt of these that are just all wonky? I'd really love to do that. So I love the wonky sewing. I love just not worrying about seam allowances. I love not worrying about if things look a little crooked. I just really, really love that. So I might make a whole log cabin quilt sometime that's all wonky like this. Wouldn't that be fun? Anybody want to join me? So today we made our log cabin block. We made our heart block. We made a 9 patch. And we made a spool block. And with the spool block, we made a spool block, and then I also showed you how I added some borders so that we can make things, some of the projects that we're doing here, just a little bit bigger. Some of the squares we're doing a little bit bigger as we enter towards the moment that we're going to start getting our the center of our quilt made. I do want to encourage you, if you're sewing along with me, to start doing some things like maybe adding a piece to the side of a block. You don't have to add borders all the way around. They should all be a little bit different. When next time I get together with you, we'll be putting more things together and work on getting the center of the quilt done. I am a little bit nervous about how I'm going to show you how to do that just because of camera angles and stuff like that, but I think we can figure it out. I appreciate that you were here to join me today, and I'm sorry if the lighting didn't turn out okay. I turned on every light that I have around here to hopefully make it viewable for you, because as you can see, it's completely dark outside. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again, hopefully sooner than last time. See you later. Bye.